Hello everybody and welcome back to another Philfaokov Linguistic Academy analysis video where we look at the front pages of different newspapers and give it marks according to specific criteria. So with these marks we've been looking at progressive and conservative newspapers in different countries, and it comes out, the progressive ones come out at 147 points, meaning that they're raising more emotional negativity. The topic in question is the Russia-Ukraine war. At the moment, it is going off the front pages, as you see today. Conservatives came in at 110, so it was stronger. And look, if you want to get a thorough analysis of this, you need to check it every day. But I've been looking at it quite regularly, and it does seem to be more emotionally prominent, this news, on the front page of conservative newspapers. And it'll be interesting, like, we're going to keep going as this war hopefully goes away. We're going to keep having a look at different front pages. And I think, will there be that general trend? If the topic is not war, will the progressive newspapers that we've been looking at, CNN, New York Times, the Guardian in England, the Toronto Star, I think that's the progressive one in Canada, will they also be more emotional if it's not about the war? We'll see. And I was going to have a look at nuclear powers. Like, I was going to look at France's newspapers and England's newspapers and America's newspapers and China's newspapers, but there've been the elections in France recently, and so not much point doing that. That's going to be a bit of a distractor from the topic. So we'll just go back to what works. CNN and Fox News, American newspapers, contrasting the progressive CNN or left-wing CNN, left-leaning CNN, and the right-wing or right-leaning Fox News. And from previous expectations, yeah, as you can see here, in one of these analyses, there was absolutely nothing on the front page of the Fox News about Ukraine, Russia, and that was a little while ago too. When there was still that impulse moment going from the beginning of the war. But when it was there, it was pretty damn high. Whereas with the CNN page, it was fairly consistently emotional. So just a quick reminder of the criteria. Okay, so we look at the front page picture and we look at the title of the picture. And if it's quite neutral in the way it makes us feel and in the way the information is presented linguistically, then we give it a 0. That's a famous scientist being analytical. Here, if it starts to make us feel a bit emotional, like that little crying girl, then we give it a 5. And if we're feeling very emotional, anger, in some sort of negative way, anger or sadness, then we give it a 10. Reptilian, because we start to lose our normal human brain. So let's kick off with CNN. And before it was kind of between emotional reptilian. Let's see what it's doing today. And if we have a quick look at the zoom out variant of the CNN front page of the day, we'll see straight away to the right that there is a picture connected with war. There's Elon Musk and something that's not 100% clear. And then you've got a couple of big pictures down here. Yeah, more like, maybe are they refugees, missiles? Is that Russia moving into the Ukraine with missiles? So there's some negativity going on, but let's see what's connected with the Russia-Ukraine war. And if we zoom in here in the top left picture, we start with the picture. Yeah, like when you read the title, if we just go up a bit here, you can see the title: "More Mass Burials Emerge in Mariupol." So obviously this is quite sad. But the picture in and of its own, if we look at it, it's a satellite image of something that's not that clear. So, I don't know, like, if we take in mind the title and linking the idea of mass burials with the picture, it becomes quite negative. I don't know what to do about that, to be honest with you. I really don't know to what extent our current knowledge of the situation, or the reader's current knowledge of the situation, obviously that's going to influence the emotions a lot. Like, looking at Elon Musk, depending on how the person feels about Elon Musk, they might be automatically feeling positive, they might be feeling incredibly negative just at the view of his face. But let's try and, because that's really difficult to predict. You have to really, like, writing an algorithm for this would be very interesting. Like, previous ones, you'd have to see everything that the person's, this is something that Google might be able to do. It has access to the level of information, the level of data you would need to measure the schemata, the historic knowledge and reaction and emotional relationship between the person and that type of image. Me personally, satellite images don't do anything. It's just a satellite image. So it's zero. Particularly if you think about, bombed out buildings, corpses, girls crying, little girls crying. Yeah, this is pretty neutral. There's not a lot of emotions going on. More mass burials emerge in Mariupol. So, obviously mass burials emerge. I don't know. Like, for me, again, mass burials emerge in Mariupol. It's to me, it makes me feel a bit sad. So I'm feeling like that girl in the picture there. That this is quite sad what's happening here. Maybe because it's a satellite image, and again, like the picture can influence on the title. Like if it was a picture of like dead people everywhere, and you had mass burials, then I'd be going full reptilian right now. I'd be like, oh my goodness, man, this is so horrible. But perhaps because of that neutral satellite image, I don't have as much of an emotional reaction to that title. And another thing which we've been following is the use of adjectives of nationality, of distinct actors doing distinct actions. And here the mass burials themselves emerge. So it's just like they've come up to the surface. There's nothing there about a country or who's guilty. Coming back to Prince Lazar. So that's just a reference to the war in Yugoslavia there with Prince Lazar. But back in the day, this is going back quite a few years, and there was a big focus on the adjective Serbian when it came to what was happening in the war there, and not a lot about the other adjectives Croatian and Bosnian. But here we can see that there are no adjectives whatsoever. So I'm going to give it a 5. And as if you've been watching the Philfaokov videos know, to give it an overall score, we add the title score, the picture score, multiply it by 5, because I think it's quite important. And then we just kind of add up the ones around that and give it an average. But geez, I don't also know about that system because this doesn't really dominate. This picture in the top left, it doesn't really dominate that much. You kind of tend to look at that and go, okay, satellite image, burials, what's next? Oh, Elon Musk. I think, or you come down and you go, oh, look at that person snowboarding great is taking a break from mental health. Because she's a star, you might get attracted to that. A powerful portrait of motherhood. Yeah, so I don't know, but I'm going to stick with it for now. So 25 total there. And then, yeah, this is where life gets interesting. When you start to, you see the same news about war in one place, then you kind of start to anticipate that anything connected with war is connected with that place. But as we can see here, if we zoom into the right, zooming in here, we can see that it's Kim Jong-un, which is North Korea. And so here we've got specific names. We've got Kim Jong-un, who I assume is the leader of North Korea. We've got the word North Korea. We've got vows, a very strong, he vows, full speed ahead. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, this is a ballistic nuclear missile. That makes me feel reptilian, man. Start running. Move to New Zealand, guys. I really recommend going to New Zealand. It's not a nuclear target as far as I know. It's a long, long way away from anything. Because those 4 letters are pretty scary. ICBM. Okay, yeah. As he flaunts, that's beautiful language, CNN. Well done. He flaunts the ICBM missiles. Well, look at my missiles. Wonderful language. Yeah, so you can see there that if we come back to the Russia-Ukraine news, it is actually fairly academic or analytical. Emerge, new satellite image reveal a 3rd mass grave, 3rd, near the besieged. Besieged, well, not too emotional a word really for the context. Where locals have been forced to work, mayor says, so projecting a quote rather than just stating this as a fact. This is what the mayor thinks. Which mayor, we don't know. Not a lot of detail there. But if we come back here, flaunts ICBM, it's very emotional. You really feel a certain character in this noun, Kim Jong-un. Yeah, it's wonderful stuff. Yeah, let's just have a quick look at the Elon Musk one. Wants to make Twitter a haven for free speech. So haven is a very nice, safe place, and that's raising alarms. So good work again from CNN. They've got, wants to create a haven, and that sends you in one direction. Oh, this is wonderful. That's raising alarms. You get this contrasting idea coming straight after it. Makes you want to click. Safe haven or haven raising alarms. How's that possible? But yeah, there's nothing else really there at all about Ukraine, Russia. This one here you might think is refugees. No, Beijing tests 20 million residents. It's just crazy, isn't it? 20 million. That's efficiency amid Fast and Furious. And this is where I like newspapers. They've got like a quote. We don't know who said that. Like Fast and Furious Omicron outbreak. Was it said by someone who works in the office at CNN? Was it said by Elon Musk? Like, why are they quoting this? Like, who said that? So again, we can see here that they've got a quote, and they say who quotes it. The mayor says, but we come down here. There's a quote with no reference to the expert who's saying this. And we looked at some pictures there of people queuing patiently. And we saw that before CNN, I think it was, had anger and something else. But here, no, there's nothing about anger. Fast and Furious. Lots of, are they bicycles? Look at all those bicycles. How cool is that? Okay, yeah, so basically an all up 0. So that comes in at 25. Okay, so I've entered it into our Excel doc here, Progressive Newspapers US 25. So we can see it's quite a bit lower, which you would expect, because one of the things that we expected was that the further away something was, the less focused it would be. And that held true, except for England and the US. The US just as far away as Canada is, but a lot higher scores in the US newspapers. England not that much further away than Germany, but much higher scores in the English newspapers. But yeah, as time goes by, that's another one. As we say in English, time heals all wounds. Time heals all wounds, and it also decreases the presence of something. The war's still going on. Don't worry about that. I don't know how many Russian soldiers in Ukraine. I read something somewhere about 800,000 soldiers are on the border. So yeah, I mean, I assume most of them went into the Ukraine. So despite the fact there are still 800,000 soldiers, Russian soldiers in the Ukraine, we have a diminishing score. 25 in terms of emotion. What about Fox? Now, Fox was hit and miss. Like we saw, like 80, full reptilian almost, and then 0. So it was kind of like we either go crazy about the Ukraine or we don't say anything about the Ukraine. And with our zoom out picture, there looks to be nothing about war whatsoever. Again, Elon Musk, this time with Jeff Bezos, billionaire battle. So the zoom out picture, we can't see anything. Let's zoom in and see. So automatically it's not going to be a high score because it's not prominent there. It's not going to be multiplied. But this one here, there's the word Russia, explosions rock Moldova. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got explosions rock Moldova. So interesting enough, again, this isn't, mass graves emerge, explosions rock. Moldova after Russia suggests. So this is an interesting one. Like, first of all, if we look at it, it's not clear what that is. It seems to be a fallen power line. That again, I've got some negative things to say about former Soviet war countries. I mean, was that because of a rocket, or is it just because of decay after the collapse of the Soviet Union? I mean, thank goodness there are no dead bodies anywhere. And security concern is very vague. Like, security concern about what? About explosions. Okay, what are the explosions doing? They're rocking Moldova. Okay, is this connected with the Ukraine or not? After Russia, well, it's probably connected with Ukraine. Suggests, well, now it's not clear. It could be its next target. So this is, if the aim of the author was to confuse the reader, they've done a wonderful job. It is referring to explosions, rock Moldova, Russia. It's probably Russia. Russia could be no. After Russia suggests it, so that means Moldova. Okay, so Russia suggests Moldova could be it. There'll be Russia's next target. So wonderful stuff. Security concern. And then the explosions rock. It means it's already happened. This has already taken place. But Russia suggests it could be its next target. And so if it's already taken place and Russia's suggesting that it could be the next target, it means that it wasn't Russia, I assume. But we have to make assumptions. Nothing's clear. And then Russia reportedly, like, I really encourage newspapers to use words like reportedly. And it's interesting there that they use reportedly fires 2 missiles. But here, explosions rock, not reportedly rock. So when you read the newspapers, pay attention. When do they actually use reporting verbs? Because they're reporting news. Or adjectives or adverbs. And when do they just state something as a fact? But yeah, I mean that's. I mean, it's like I don't know because I just feel like it's just somewhere that's not receiving a lot of investment or hasn't received any investment for the last 30 years. So I'm going to give it a 1. Um, Explosions Rock Moldova, because that's so, we don't know what's going on. I'm more confused than upset about anything. In fact, I'm upset because I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on and I feel stupid. So I'm going to give it a 1 as well. That comes out of the 2. No, I can't give it. And this isn't the main news story, so it's just going to be a +2. We're not going to multiply it. And so there we go. We can see we've got this real swinging thing going on in Fox News. And I have been looking at these on a regular basis, more regularly than I've been making these videos about them. And generally speaking, for some time now, it does seem to be not much of a focus at all. So let's chuck it. So I've put it in there, conservative newspaper, America +2. And that means it would get something like 172. I don't know, like this is the philological department of a university here, guys, of an academy. So 112. Yeah, so we can see there's already a bit of a discrepancy between these, and I'm pretty sure that had I been doing this every day in such an analytical way, this would be fairly reflective. In fact, it might be even a bit bigger there. So I'm going to safely conclude, maybe not safely, but initially conclude that the progressive US newspapers have been raising or projecting this in a more emotionally negative way. The conservative ones, because of that swinging factor, less of a focus, that's the main thing. So far what we can see is it's really interesting. Like the progressive US news is raising a lot of emotions or projecting this in an emotional way. As opposed to countries like Australia and Brazil, nowhere near Ukraine, which aren't talking about this much at all. But I should put out that when the Australian news was covering it, when the war first broke out, there was a lot of negativity there. Let's just hop back to Fox News because, like, interesting stuff's going on as the Ukraine-Russia war doesn't go away but disappears from the front pages, and people around the world move on. Well, I mean, maybe a lot of newspapers around the world like already moved on, but progressive Americans, progressive Americans move on from the war. Conservative Americans move on from the war. What are they talking about? So let's go back to the conservative news. And it's a billionaire battle. So I always forget what that's called. I remember assonance, like where you've got 2 vowel sounds. Like this is philological faculty of linguistic analysis. So I don't know a fairly basic linguistic term. Assimilation, no. But anyway, billionaire battle. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, and like Musk is looking pretty stern. Bezos is looking like he's saying something angrily. And this is what I find fascinating. Like Jeff Bezos launches a rocket. No, he launches China conspiracy. There it is again, guys. China. So unbelievable, really. China conspiracy. So the news is that this guy on the right is going to buy an American businessman is going to buy an American company, and another American businessman is just raising some like China conspiracy theory. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So there it is. China is the adjective of nationality, the noun, the nation noun that's front and center. And then one more quick thing before we wrap up. I just want to point out like some really cool stuff in Fox News that I've noticed, like the use of these like gray images. Like if we have a look at this one with Biden here, it's just wonderful, really. You know, secretive Soros-funded group, and then in the background you've got this bigger head. This head is bigger. It's dominating this small head, and this is black and white, and this is color. And then what's that picture? I mean, is that picture to do with anything, or it just happened to be next to this guy's head? So that's pretty cool. Behind the scenes, yeah. All right, very creative. Secretive. Yep. Shape. Okay, and then before we wrap up, there's another one of these cool pictures, which we've looked at before, but it's worth looking at again. This one here, like, who is Hunter Biden? Again, it's grey, it's not clear, they've dotted it out. Wonderful stuff. Okay, so again, guys, you know, I'm laughing and people are dying. You know, in the Ukraine, people are dying. In America, I'm sure there are people dying as well. So it is sad, guys. Don't think about, you know, because I'm laughing, it means like I don't care about people dying. It's all quite sad. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just leave you again with that one there. The billionaire battle, wonderful stuff. and China. Because I think as we move forward, as this, I mean, hopefully the war will actually end. It's ending in terms of the narrative on the front page of newspapers. Hopefully it actually ends as a war that causes damage and kills people. Um, but I think what we're going to find is more and more stuff when we look at countries will be coming through about China. We saw North Korea was back. It hadn't gone anywhere, obviously, but it was back on the front page of the news, flaunting missiles. We've got China popping up somehow in the news of Musk buying Twitter, which is interesting stuff. And then, obviously, very, very important news here that I failed to notice. See here, average US gas price per state. Goodness me, yeah, that's red, isn't it? Yeah, that's bad. Okay, and so I think we really will be interesting to see what starts to dominate the front page. Will it be something that's consistently dominant? You'd assume that this Musk buying Twitter story will go away. Will it continue to dominate? And we will find some other ones to talk about, some other things to compare, because it is fascinating to see how ideas are created. You know, the fact of the story is businessman buys business, and presented launches China conspiracy theory. Okay, guys, take care. That's the end of this video. I hope you have a great time, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next linguistic analysis. Yeah.